Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. In this episode, we're talking about Phil Spencer talking about the Xbox controller and the PS5 controller, and thinking about bringing some of those features from the PS5 controller to the Xbox controller. So what are we talking about? We're talking about mainly things such as, the DualSense for the PS5 controller, the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers and stuff like that. Xbox doesn't have those on their controller and PlayStation does. And, Phil Spencer's he talked about, was on an episode of Kind of Funny podcast and talked about these things. And he is interested in bringing these potentially bring these features to an Xbox controller or Xbox controllers. They did bring out a survey a while back asking Xbox owners and Microsoft consumers if they would be interested in these types of features in the Xbox controller. So Xbox is definitely hinting at potentially bringing these features to the Xbox. What do you think about that? Patrick, what do you think about that?
I really like PlayStation's current DualSense controller. The one for PlayStation 5 is pretty awesome. I mean, I always felt like PlayStation controllers were very flimsy and just kind of, they were very small in the hands and just didn't feel good. But with the PS5, once I got my hands on it and got a controller in my hand, it's amazing. Feels really good and sturdy. I like the features. Never having played with a controller like this one, I will say it was awkward at first. I thought my controller was broken. I will admit that I was like, why does this pull trigger feel like it has a catch in it? It was part of the haptic feedback and the tension control on those. And I was playing it and I'm like, man, it just feels like there's something stuck in there. And then I was running around the menus one time. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't do that anymore. I got back in the game and I'm like, oh, this must be part of that feedback. So I'm not sure what to think about that type of features, but I do feel that the current PlayStation controller is probably one of the best they put out. And it's got some cool features in it. It looks really slick. It looks kind of like a weird shaped UFO, but it feels really good in the hands and stuff like that. I'm not sure how I'd feel about Xbox adopting some of those features. I mean, Phil Spencer basically complimented the PlayStation 5 controller is what he did. And that goes kind of more into the style that Microsoft's trying to foster relationships rather than playing more at the console wars, that shouldn't really exist. But I really like the PlayStation 5 controller, and I think I could probably get behind adopting some of their features into the Xbox controller. I mean, I play with an Elite controller, and if they came out with a new Xbox controller that adopted some of these features, I would probably get it and try it out. Might be one of those times for me to get into the Xbox, controller lab where you get to build your own controller. If they put those features into that, I'll be all about going in and getting me a new controller and building it the way I want and having all those cool features. I didn't get a survey, but I heard about the surveys going out. Nick, did you get one of those surveys about the controllers and stuff like that? Because I didn't.
No, I did not. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller is definitely the best controller Sony has put out ever. I love that controller. It's a really good controller. I still like the tried and true Xbox controller. It's if it's not broke, don't fix it type thing with those. I don't know if and I haven't played enough, with the PlayStation 5 controller when it comes to the adaptive triggers. There's only one game that I played that utilizes the adaptive triggers, was Demon Souls, and it only seems to utilize it with the bow, and I don't like it. So it might be a game by game type of basis, right? Whereas it's implemented good, and in some games it's implemented not very good. There have been controllers and other features in the past with other things, not just controllers, but with a lot of different things where some games utilized it really well, and some games it was just kind of like, this is stupid. Think about the PlayStation 4 with the touchpad. PlayStation 5 does have the touchpad as well. They had the touchpad, and I felt like in PlayStation 4 it was just a stupid extra button, right? It could have just been a button, because half the time it was either used to bring up a map or, just bring up your inventory or something like that. And that's all it was utilized for. It was utilized as a button. Now the PS5 does have the touchpad as well. Hopefully they'll utilize it for more than just being a button. But that's kind of an example where I'm like, I don't care that they have a touchpad here, just make it an extra button. In the PS5 controller type, again, I'm not a big fan of the adaptive triggers. I think I had to play more games that utilize it, because clearly a lot of people seem to like it, so there must be something I'm missing. I'm apparently not playing the right game, right? I know the Astros game that comes with it does kind of show it off the controller and stuff in it, but I haven't played it yet. I just haven't. I like Astrobot, but this is one of those games. Like if I have nothing else to play, I'll maybe pick that one up or start playing that one. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they have, if they decide to do something like that, if Microsoft decides to do something like this, they'll have both types of controllers. Ones that are just their regular ones, and then ones that do have these features, kind of like their Elite controllers and stuff like that. This is not necessarily an Elite in a way, but hopefully they don't get rid of their current controllers and say, okay, these are the new ones that have haptic feedback and adaptive triggers and this and that and the other. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they have both options so you can kind of play with both and see, like, because not everybody likes that stuff, right? I mean, that's the only thing about Sony in this case is it's kind of like, oh, we're transitioning over this, so you better like it. But not everybody likes that stuff. Not everybody likes vibration, right? You think of vibration like as a normal feature in a controller, but there are some people I know that turn that off every time they play games because they just don't like it. So not everybody's going to like adaptive triggers and haptic feedback and various things of that nature. So I don't know if PlayStation has the ability to turn off those features. I don't think it does, but does it? I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah,
Patrick?
you can. That's what I was going to say. Is the PlayStation, Microsoft would just have to, when they come out with their controllers, be able to disable that. And I do believe you could turn off adaptive triggers. You just select to turn them off. I do not know if you can turn off the haptic feedback, but I'm pretty sure you can. If you can't, that would be a really bad oversight, in my opinion, that you can't turn that stuff off. But the button in the middle, I will agree with you. I mean, some games made good use of it, but I mean, really what made really good use of it was when they combined the button in the middle with noises and sounds and stuff. Because I mean, two games that really made good use of it, although I'm going to say one of them had issues with it, was Horizon and Ghost of Tsushima. You could swipe one way to get map or get the wind to blow, and the wind would blow through the speaker in front of you. And then you would get noises in the mechanical dinosaur noises in Horizon in it, and just different reactions to things, and it would glow different colors and do pulsating things. But I had trouble with it when in Ghost, for example, you have to like swipe to the right and it would pull up the map. But if you swiped up or down, it would do different things like do the crickets or do the whatever. And I would find sometimes that it wouldn't register my swipe correctly and would pull off a different swipe to another direction. I'm like, don't stand up. I'm crouching, I'm hiding from the enemy. And he would stand up and be like, hey, here I am. So, I mean, but I've not played Ghost of Tsushima on the PS5 with their new controller, but I'm also not going to I'm not going to pay more money to play the director's cut. So I probably will not get to play it on the PS5 to see how it is. But I kind of like it. I like I said, I was confused with the adaptive triggers at first, but I agree with Nick. I need to play more games that have that feature enabled so I could tell if it's a good piece to enable or not. The only gripe I've had about PlayStation controllers is the same gripe I have every time, and it's not offsetting the damn joysticks. But they would think they're copying Microsoft, and they don't want anybody to think that, so they're never going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. And the only thing I have about the Xbox Series X controllers is I don't like the position of the share button. I hate it. Sony also can. I understand the whole share concept, but Sony also, I didn't like it on the PS4, and they also brought that along with the PS5, having the share button over where normally like start is. And that's the thing I don't like about the PS5 or PS4 controller, and that's the thing I don't like about the Series X controller is that share button. I don't care about that stuff. Like if I want to share, make it a menu option. I don't need a single button because half the time I have like 1,000 because my kids play it too, and stuff. And so I have like 1,000 pictures of like menu screens and crap because I accidentally hit that, or whatever. And now I have a picture, say, that's taking up space of a start screen, or the guide screen or something like that. And on the PlayStation, I had that trouble too, where I'd go to like pause the game and I'd accidentally hit this what I think is the start button, and then the next thing I know, I'm like, it's popping up the share menu. Like, who cares? Like, come on. People that share, I don't know. This is another subject, but still, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, if you can turn those features off for the Xbox, the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers, that's fine. If they want to change all their Series X controllers to have that, but have the option where you can turn those features off. So maybe that, for those people that don't like it, or maybe, maybe we get it and we say like, it's not really for us, then we can turn those features off. So just like vibration, most games have where you can turn off vibration. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to turn off those features as well, because you don't necessarily need them. They're cool, but it's not like, it's not, I don't think it's groundbreaking in any means. But hey, if Microsoft wants to follow suit, if it's a cool thing that everybody likes, if the survey came out and most people were like, hey, yeah, we'd like to see that, then that'd be awesome to see Microsoft implement those things as well. So more power to both of them. In all essence, besides the bitching about their controllers, really the DualSense and the Xbox Series X controllers are great controllers when it comes down to it. They're both great controllers, and so I mean, what can you do? Add more features, cool. I'm out. I'm for it.
Nick was about to have a get off my lawn moment with those the people who overshare.
I was about to.
I will agree with you, because I often hit that button on mistake because it's too close to the select and the picture-in-picture. And it's right where if you're not playing in a well-lit room, you might brush it or you might hit it trying to hit that picture-in-picture or the menu button, and you're just like, yeah, this is at a crappy spot. I hate it. I don't like that neither. And part of it is I'm just a little bit too lazy to go in, because I guarantee you there's a way to disable that button, because there probably is. And I'm just a little bit too lazy to go into the menus and be like, disable the button. But then what'll end up happening is I'm sitting there mashing the button and thinking I'm hitting the select menu or the picture-in-picture. It's not coming up. And I'm like, nothing's happening. And I'm like, oh, I'm hitting the wrong button because you disabled the button. So at least it tells you, hey, you did something wrong, stupid. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind to see new features in the Xbox. The Xbox controller is tried and true, though. I mean, not much has changed in the last few console versions. I think it's sometimes some of their console pieces can be extra flimsy. I don't like when they went to that solid bezel piece with the shoulder buttons and the trigger, because if you break that bezel, your shoulder buttons and your trigger will stop working because it binds up and puts them in a weird thing. But in the Elite controller, they at least shored that material up and stronger and stuff like that. That's why I bought it. And I've not really had any problems with my current Series X controller at all. And I've actually banged it against something on accident, so it's held up pretty good. So
yeah, they're both great controllers. When it comes down to it, they're both great controllers. They don't have the features. The Xbox controller doesn't have the features the PlayStation 1 does, but they're both solid controllers and they both work great. Hey, make it to where I can just use either controller on both consoles.
They'll never allow that to happen. Microsoft might, but Sony would give you the big. You can stick that.
Well, that would be cool, though, wouldn't it? Like, hey, I want to play this game with the PlayStation controller or the Xbox.
That would be really funny if Phil Spencer came out with a PlayStation and an Xbox controller and he's just playing. Or if he came out with a PlayStation controller and the Xbox, he's just playing on the Xbox with it. You know?
He's playing Forza.
Yeah, he's playing Forza on an Xbox with a PlayStation controller. But I would probably try it. It would give me a reason to buy one of their Xbox Labs controllers, go in and build my own if they did something like that. Maybe they'll even let you remove the share button if we ask nice enough.
Right. Pay an extra $10.
All right. Well, cool. I mean, yeah, I'm game for it. Phil Spencer seems like a level-headed guy, and I think he's steering the ship right for Microsoft. And if they do adopt some things that Sony's done, I guarantee he'll come right out and be like, Sony did this right. We wanted it, so we came up with our own unique design, and we made it ours. And then Sony will bitch and complain about it, and then, who knows? But they just need to play nice together.
Yeah, and Microsoft's been very consumer friendly. So if the consumers want it, I think that's what that survey was mainly for, is if consumers want it, then they're going to look into possibly putting it in place.
Well, Microsoft, your consumers want some VR.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
But cool. All right. Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, I like the controller. I think it's got some nice features. Wouldn't mind seeing some of them in Xbox. It would be really weird to see the giant center button in an Xbox controller, but who knows?
You never know.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode. Patrick, you don't got anything else? You look like you're out of material. And me too. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.